What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So in the last video you guys saw me work on the FC, put the glow-in-the-dark wheels on, but all I had to charge the glow-in-the-dark with was LEDs. LED doesn't emit the correct light, so what I ended up doing was getting a black light, and I charged both of them up just a hair. So let's see if they glow now. So let's try it out. Turn this light off and go from there. Oh my God. Oh man. No way. Look at them glowing. Let's find my way over to the wheels. Oh man. And that was just for a second. Oh, the front one's way more. Dang! Look at that. Oh man, that's tight. Yeah, that was literally, I turned the light on for maybe a minute for each wheel. Look at that. Look how nice and glowing that is. I can't wait till these things are fully charged. Imagine cruising this thing down the highway like this. Look at this. Oh my God, that's so tight. So now that I caught a good clip of the wheels actually glowing on the car, what I'm planning on doing today is, well, I kind of have a disaster going over. This is a Magnum disaster right here. Headlights situation we're doing. But I finally, these seat rails are for, maybe for the FC, maybe for the 3000, but I finally got the new fan to replace the other one for the FC. Other fan shroud will come. It didn't have a picture, it just said it fit this car. So hopefully it's fit this car and fit this fan, or a 16-inch fan. So hopefully it's good and I could use it. But if it's not, I'll have the other one already made, because I do want to drive this car tomorrow and cruise it around with the glow-in-the-dark wheels and everything. But we need to have the fan radiator situated. So let's get to work on making the fan shroud. What I plan on doing is I brought some leftover board from when I made the Magnum wing, and all I'm going to do is use some hot glue, glue it to the radiator to make a shroud. You guys will see what I'm doing. It's kind of I'm going to make a fiberglass fan shroud, but it's kind of a process. So let's get to work on it, try to get it busted out, and if everything goes well, we'll have a fan shroud. So now that this part of the mold is done, what I'm going to do is come back and fill all this in with the clay, and I'm just going to round all the edges. It makes it a lot easier for vacuum bagging, and also makes it a little bit more aerodynamic. The air kind of wants to flow into the center of the radiator fan, which the radiator fan will be right here. I won't cut the hole for the radiator fan until I mount it, just because I could use a drywall cutter to cut the hole and make sure it's perfect every time if I make more than one of these. But the good thing is that once this mold's made, I'll have it forever. If I ever need to make another one, I could just bust one out really quick. And the first one's gonna be fiberglass, but I think eventually I'll once, you know, down the line when I have some time, I really want to get this thing on the road and driving, I'll come back and either make a Kevlar or a carbon fiber one. I really like Kevlar. I don't know why everybody likes carbon fiber so much. I just like the look of it instead of the carbon fiber looks. What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going down to register the FC finally. I had temp tags on it, and then since it hasn't been really drivable, I didn't worry about registering it. So now I'm gonna go register it. I wanna take it out for a drive tonight. Registered the FC, and the first car I have gotten collector plates on. So it's an 87, I think she said like 30 years or something like that. So I have 5 years before I have to get registration to get on the FC. I also got custom plates for it. So they're gonna have to mail them to me because I have to make them. And I got another temp tag. So now I'm good to go with the FC because I know the glow in the dark wheels are going to attract a lot of attention, especially if I drive by a cop. I want to make sure that, you know, I'm 100% legal and I'm not driving around dirty. Just got back to the shop. FedEx dropped off the electric fan that I ordered off eBay and test fit it on the radiator. It does not fit. It is probably the worst fan shroud that I've gotten ever. It hits the water neck. It's supposed to fit 88 to 91 FCs, but it hits the top of the water neck, and these brackets don't even line up to anything on the radiator, and they're too far up. So if it did fit, I'd have to use a bunch of washers. The issue with me ordering this is they really just had a generic picture, so I was hoping it was going to be something that was going to work, but unfortunately, it's not. So what I'm gonna do now, last night I made this rough mold for the fan shroud that I'm gonna make out of fiberglass, but I wanted to put gel coat in it and actually make a true mold so I could reproduce some of these if anybody else wanted one. But right now, what I'm gonna do is skip the gel coat step. I'm gonna fill it with some cavity wax, get it kind of a nice shape. Then I'm gonna hit it with some mold release and then just go straight to fiberglass so I can get me a fan shroud made for the FC. And then tomorrow, it will take a night for the fiberglass to dry. Tomorrow I could come in, cut the fan hole, drill the holes, put some rev nuts in, cut it to the correct size to fit the radiator, and then I should be 100% ready to go. But what we're gonna do tonight is this. And I'm gonna button the radiator up, connect all the hoses back to it, bolt it back in, fill it full of coolant, and we could take this for a drive without the fans because it's pretty cool tonight as long as I keep moving. Shouldn't have any issues. FC is 100% back together, ready to go down the road, but I'm waiting on the battery to charge. Obviously, a trickle charger isn't the best way to charge a battery quickly. I need to find a battery, find some jumper cables, get this thing jumped, and then the alternator will charge that up. But I really like how the wheels look. I like how the rest of the car came out. I wish I could have put the electric fan in, but I will do that in a different video, the install of that, and just kind of go from there. But I do have both of those radiator caps teed into the overflow bottle, and since the fan shroud doesn't fit, it's better to have the fan than no fan at all. So once I get the fan shroud made over there, I'll bolt the electric fan on there and we'll be good to go. I'm probably just gonna drive it tonight and not really that far, so I shouldn't have to worry about it overheating or anything like that. It's really cold outside, it's winter, and I'll be moving, so I'm not gonna be sitting in traffic or anything. But it is kind of sketchy because I don't have a temp gauge, I don't have a RPM gauge, I don't have any of the gauges except for speed. I should have speed. We'll see what happens. But let's wait for this battery charge. Once it's charged, we can go take it for a drive. Since I'm waiting for the battery to charge up and the trickle charger is charging it so slow, I'm going to get the whole fan shroud, fiberglass fan shroud situation figured out. That one was dead. I had one over here, and this one was dead as well. I put it on this trickle charger. I don't have a jump box, and I kind of want to drive this car tonight. So what I'm gonna do is, I think I might be able to jump the car with all I have is a Milwaukee battery. So these guys, they're like 18 volts, I think. What are they? Yeah, 18 volts, but they're lithium. Oh, this one's dead. So let's find a charged up one. Impact right here. Let's see what the battery on this one is. Oh, we got 4 bars. Let's try this one out. Now I need to figure out a way to get, so there's positive and negative on this battery. And now I need to figure out how to get from here to the battery on the car. So there's some wire in here. I think there's an orange and a blue right here. Let's give her a cut. Hopefully this works so we can get this car started. Positive. Oh yeah. Negative. Oh! Well, let's try sticking her in here. I think we might get a better result. I mean, it started. I mean, the battery must have a little bit of juice in it. It didn't want to start 100% off of this, but it worked when this thing is almost all the way dead. It literally just was clicking before. And now I think we just need thicker wires to go from that to the battery. I got some wires right here. This can be the negative. This is a little bit thicker. This can be the positive because it has this little end on it. Slide right in. All right, we're good now. Let's try it again. Was able to get the car started using the Milwaukee battery with the... So I was able to get the car jumped with the Milwaukee battery connected to the normal battery. So the one issue, if you're going 100% off the Milwaukee battery, it still cranks pretty slow. It still cranks the engine, but this battery was... probably it barely cranked the car, but with the pair of them it actually worked very well. So we got the first time, probably don't use super thin wires. I tried some super thin boys, but then I used some stuff from a house oven, so that worked very well. Now the car started and it's warmed up and everything's good to go. Got 2 layers of fiberglass mat into the mold, and I think that should be good for this just because it's a fan shroud. I don't think it needs to be that thick. Have the FC warming up outside. We'll see how she drives. I drove it a little bit last night to bleed the cooling system. Checked it today, everything looked good. The oil looked good. So I think we're ready to go. The fan shroud, I probably should have left the heater on because the resin is still a little tacky. So what I need to do, I actually might go down and get some more fiberglass mat, this is probably a good thing because then I could add another layer. So clean the shop up a little bit, got everything on the floor picked up. I had a bunch of random bolts and just broken clips, broken pieces of plastic from the FC. Cleaned it up, washed it, used some Dawn, got it nice and clean. I mean, it's a lot cleaner than it was. So the FC is running and driving. I mean, the thing really drives nice. I can't wait to have the electric fan in. I need to go by the hardware store, grab some more fiberglass mat, and then I could throw another layer on this fan shroud that I'm making and kind of go from there. But at least the FC runs and drives. It seemed like the radiator and the hose really was staying very cool. I drove it probably 25 miles and it just stayed really cool. So really like the radiator. It's an end flow. I really like how the wheels came out and the exhaust and the radiator. Once I get the fan shroud and a few other little things, the FC will probably be a really nice just rip around town car. So it's a lot nicer driving this than driving my truck. The one downfall about driving old cars like this, I think I have an exhaust leak from the turbo to the downpipe. So I'm going to put a new gasket in there because every time I drive this car, I smell like the FC. So I don't not like it, but I'd rather not smell like exhaust. So we'll fix that and pretty much button up all the little random things on this thing. I have been getting a lot of comments about the window tint. Yes, I'm going to have the windows retinted. I'm not exactly sure when I'm going to do it. So the back window is probably going to be the hardest to have retinted just because all the tint has been flaking off. It may be easy. I'm not exactly sure. It may just all come off when they scrub it with the stuff because it's so brittle. I think the driver window is going to be the easiest because, well, the second easiest because the tint on it is all together. It's just bubbling. And the passenger window must have been broken into because it doesn't have any tint at all. So we'll get the windows tinted soon. I have a front windshield coming for the Magnum, and then the guy is going to be putting in the bracket for the Challenger into that, and also gluing the rain sensor on so the wipers and everything work correctly on that. But let's go to the hardware store, grab another few bags of the fiberglass mat, get another coat of fiberglass on this fan shroud, and then tomorrow I'll probably leave the heater on overnight just so it has, it's hot enough for it to actually bake it. And tomorrow we should have a fan shroud. I'll trim it with the Dremel and trim it to fit the radiator, and then we'll be good to go. So just got back from the store, got some more fiberglass mat. I got some thick mat and then I got some more thin. So what I'm gonna do is use a thick mat for the last layer. Once that's done, it should be able to dry by tomorrow as long as I leave the heater on. I didn't leave it on last night, so it dropped to like 12 degrees last night, but I'll leave it at 65 and everything should be good to go. Then tomorrow I could pop this thing out of the mold, or the, I guess it's a rough mold, but I could pop it out of the mold, see how it is. One thing I did notice before I started doing this whole process, for some reason, the mold release that I have, so the mold release is a plastic that is dissolved in alcohol. So when you rub it on, it leaves a nice thin layer of plastic, or a thin film of plastic, that you can release the fiberglass off of the mold or whatever you're molding to it, the fiberglass mat, the carbon fiber, the Kevlar, whatever it is, so you can release it. But when I rubbed it on, it started to actually separate this top layer from the whatever backing the foam. I think there's foam in between both sides. So I'm not exactly sure how it's going to look. There was a few spots, a few bubbles. So I may have to go in with some filler and fill it in and then make the finalized mold. And then I could use this one for the time being. The last layer of the fiberglass mat is now down, and I'm really glad this time I wore my paint mask because the smell can get pretty intense. It's not really that good for you. So I wore the paint mask. The last layer is on. I'm gonna leave the heater on. Should be dry tomorrow. I can pop it out of the mold, see where we're at, trim it, and kind of just go from there. But I think I should have a fan shroud for the FC pretty soon, and one that actually fits, because everything I ordered that was supposed to fit the FC radiator didn't end up fitting it. So I'm really glad that we are at this stage right here, and hopefully we have a good fan shroud. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to drive the FC home, kind of hang out for a little bit, let the wheels charge up in the sun, and then kind of go take it for a little night cruise later tonight. It's 4 o'clock, so I have an hour to let it sit in the sun before it gets dark, and I guess we'll figure it out from there. All right, so we're cruising the FC into town. It's dark outside, and the speed works, which is awesome. Nothing else works, but the speed works. So let's keep it on and see what happens. Just pulled the fiberglass fan shroud mold piece out of the mold. So this is technically a mold, but I had to make a mold to make this mold. So what I'm gonna do is tomorrow come back and hit this with a DA, see if I need to adjust anything. The board that I used kind of bubbled up in a few spots from the mold release, so I want to make sure that those aren't actually in this mold, and if they aren't, we should be good to go to throw some mold release on this and make an actual fiberglass fan shroud. So I'm really glad that this came out so well. I really, fiberglass is kind of a pain. There's a bunch of coats that you have to do. So if there is any adjusting that I need to do on this, I'll just hit it with a little bit of body filler, and really I'm not going to do much other than that. I'll hit it with some body filler and then just do mold release right over it. But thanks for watching. That's going to be the end of this video. Click the subscribe button if you're not subscribed. Thumbs up, comment below. See you guys tomorrow.